Doghouse Racing League is proud to be sponsored by Shoney's. Shoney's is today's all-American kitchen, open daily for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Shoney's guests can count on quality, delicious food along with warm, friendly service. Stop by one of the West Virginia locations to try their freshly prepared legendary breakfast bars. And don't forget to take home a whole strawberry pie. Shoney's, delicious food and friendly service since 1947. Are you looking for sports merchandise for your favorite teams, apparel, jerseys, headwear, hard goods, and looking to be involved with NASCAR? Fanatics is your one-stop shop. Fanatics is partnered up with all major professional sports leagues, as well as hundreds of collegiates and pro teams. Join them now at Fanatics. And if you use the link down below in the description, you'll be able to help out the Doghouse Racing League. While using that link, all commissions go to the Doghouse Racing League, which helps fund prizes and goods for the drivers out on track. Thank you so much for Fanatics, and enjoy the show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Thursday night. It's been a long break, over a month and a half, but we are back to be giving you coverage of the Doghouse Cup Series. Tonight's a little special, though, as it is going to be a league fundraiser night, as the drivers for the Doghouse Cup Series, as well as their Xfinity Series, come together to take a chance to run at one of these super speedways. Their last fundraiser, it was at Daytona. Tonight, they tackle Atlanta Motor Speedway in this current configuration. It's a lot more super speedway, side-by-side action all the way around this mile-and-a-half course. It's going to be a fun one to cover. It is your Atlanta 300 League fundraiser night here at Atlanta for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. We're happy to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Welcome to the show. Joining me up the booth, as you will be for the rest of the season, will be Zach Hall. Zach, it's crazy to think that the off-season is over. We're kind of in the preseason, you could say, right before the season starts in just a few weeks.
That's right, Sam, just like the preseason, so to say, because, you know, nothing too major on the line here tonight. Of course, just bragging rights, but also doing it for a good cause for fundraising. So great to see what Doghouse is set up here, and this will kind of, you know, it's not the start of the season, but it gets you in that flow of the season. You know, it kind of gets those racing feelings back in there, and everything is going to be right here started at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, where, you know, it's all going to be a fixed setup too. I think that's one thing we got to mention tonight is fixed setups, no open setups like we'll see, you know, starting next week. But everybody on the same setup at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, and this place is going to be quite the wild bit of pack racing.
It certainly will be. A little bit over 20 drivers registered for tonight's race. It's going to be 195 laps, no stage break, only one fast repair, and 5 extra sets of tires and pit road to work with. So we're going to see a little bit of strategy mixed in, mingled, but currently the drivers are just finishing up qualifying as they've just crossed over the halfway. Half the field has qualified so far. Jonathan Jennings is your pole setter currently with a 31.442 second lap time. And when they're in the pack, they're going to be running about 2 to 2.5 seconds faster than that time. So all these drivers know this is a good starting point. But Zach, with qualifying at Atlanta Motor Speedway, for some they say it's very important, others say it's not. But for the field, about half of the crew is already qualified.
That they have. People put in some good times already with Jonathan Jennings topping the board there along with Jamie Horn. And, you know, qualifying it doesn't matter the most here because, of course, you're going to be pack racing. But I feel like starting up front here is a very valuable thing. This track is pretty much like a Daytona or Talladega. You're almost wide open. You will have to lift a little bit through the corners just due to dirty air and such things, as this is a mile-and-a-half, a lot tighter radius of corners. But qualifying well can really be a big help in my opinion, because first off, it puts you out front in the clean air where it's the easiest to drive this car, but also it just kind of keeps you out of the chaos in the middle of the field. It kind of becomes somewhat of a log jam throughout the field because this track's just not very wide. It really widens out on the straightaways, then you get to the corners and it's very narrow. So qualifying can be very important because there's really only usually about 3 lanes of racing.
And we're going to be seeing all 3 lanes be utilized here tonight. The one place that will not be utilized, the apron. You see that red line. Drivers must stay to the right of that red line. They can only have about half of their car be over the red line through the tri-oval, and that is just in case someone gets pushed down. But admins would prefer all drivers to stay on the racing surface. You cannot advance position while going under the red line. You will be penalized at the end of this race. All drivers know how important it is to make sure you follow those rules, because penalties can be very detrimental for your race here this evening. Again, about 22 drivers expected to be running here tonight. Team aspects were very strong. The last fundraiser race that we ran for the Daytona 300 at the start of last season. But for this season, the team aspect might be not as strong because Andrew Sincour, Kevin Thompson from Twisted Axle, they're not racing here tonight, but one of the dominators from the last season at Super Speedway, we will be seeing the likes of potentially seeing the maximum speed of Adam Gardner that won both of those Super Speedway races, but he doesn't have his teamwork like he's seen before. We're going to take a closer look at where the drivers are starting out here tonight, though, as they're gridding up. We'll take a look at our starting grid for tonight's Atlanta 300 Fundraiser night. Top of the board is going to be Jonathan Jennings, one of the most winningest drivers in the Doghouse Racing League history. He'll be starting up front. Jamie Horn starting in second place. William Gentry will start in third, with Hunter Simpson fourth. Michael Hayes, one of the front runners for a championship last season, will start in fifth. Sixth is in P. Court. Then it will be Daniel Wilkerson in seventh. Donald Leftwich, otherwise known as Mike Leftwich, will start in 8th position. Adam Garner in 9th. And finishing out our top 10, it's Tyler Millett.
Starting in 11th, it's going to be the 71 car of Adam Thompson. Alongside him in 12th, it's going to be the 9 of Stephen Bonomo. 13th in qualifying is going to go to the 27 of Christopher Simon, with 14th position being held by Jonathan Smith. 15th in qualifying is going to be Gary Armio. Alongside him in 16th, it's going to be Trevor McLaughlin. 17th position going to be held by Justin McMahon. 18th is going to be the 88 of Stephen Hayes. 19th is going to be Jeremiah Stutzman, a newcomer to the league. 20th is going to go to Shane Parrish. 21st is going to be Eric Warman. 22nd is Nicholas Atwood. And rounding out our field for the 23rd car is Eric Anderson, 43.
23 drivers are going to attempt to race here tonight. They will have that one fast repair. I think that's going to be the big talking point throughout tonight's race, is if we see a lot of damage, a lot of wrecks, who's willing to use their fast repair early on, or will we keep it clean and green? And I know, Zach, yourself, you've ran an Atlanta race at this track where it's been clean and green before. It seems like it is very likely we could see that type of racing, but at the same time, it really could switch over to the other.
It can go both ways, that's for sure. This place is it's wild, and really what attributes to the wildness, in my opinion, is just the width of the track. It's very narrow, like I was talking about earlier. That has a huge factor when it comes down to how you race here. And I think sometimes even the width of it can kind of make people a little bit less aggressive, so to say. They're more willing to kind of just settle for things and not just go for it, where at Daytona and Talladega, people will stick their noses really anywhere they can put them. And I think here, this place kind of deters that a little bit more, especially with the handling come into a factor. So this place is a little bit more straight up, and I think that's why sometimes you see those clean races here, but it can turn for the worse, that's for sure.
It certainly can. Tonight's race, drivers are set up, prepared, and getting a little bit of a sense of maybe what momentum they can carry into the start of the 2024 season. Tonight is not a points race. It's all for fun. It's all about helping fundraise the Doghouse Leagues. But tonight we get prepared for 195 laps into the pit road as the pace car into the restart zone, and our leaders as we are green for the Atlanta 300 League fundraising night. And it's going to be a drag race between Jamie Horn, Jonathan Jennings as they roar down into turn number 1.
Amazing start there from Jennings. He elected to take that outside line, and I think that's mostly a teammate thing. He wants to line up with Hunter Simpson in the 5, who we didn't get to see much of last season, and when we did see him, he was very, very quick. So good to see those two working together off the get-go. Jamie Horn going to jump to the top side as they head to 3 and 4. And I think that's what the fight is going to be for right now. Can you get up to the top? It always seems to be a little bit more easy to run up there than down on that bottom side.
Jonathan Jennings, Hunter Simpson, you talked about teamwork, saying for both these drivers, going to be so important to be the control vehicles up front. Atlanta, because of the fact that you talk about how narrow this course is, you want to be the control vehicle, and seen a little bit of blinking action and network flare-ups. You saw a car kind of fly up in the air. That sometimes happens when drivers don't have the best quality of connection to the server. So those drivers are okay at this moment. But up front, Jonathan Jennings going to lead another lap on the outside. And Zach, it looks like the comfort zone of the outside lane, it is still extremely strong here at Atlanta.
Definitely looks to be that way so far, Sam, that bottom lane. Having a tough time just trying to keep pace with that outside. It really allows to, it looks like Mike Leftwich in the 60, he's going to pull down to the bottom of the racetrack. He says he wants to get out of here and drop to the back. And got to be careful when you're doing that if you're Mike Leftwich, because you can easily lose that draft pack. And I think that's actually what's going to end up happening to that 60, is he's going to lose that pack. Fortunately for his sake, he's got Eric Anderson who's catching up to him in the 43. Those two might be able to latch onto each other and at least keep themselves on the lead lap until we get possible yellow.
That's, I think, the big thing is there could be a yellow with everyone riding the outside groove and willing to maximize their speed. We know tire wear, surprisingly to say, is going to be a big issue to talk about here tonight. It's Atlanta, because how small it is, how fast you're going, how highly banked it is. Zach, this is the one super speedway track that you always talk about. Tire wear will hit these drivers.
That is for sure, Sam. This place, I think that's one of the things personally myself as a driver I love the most about it. I think it gives you opportunities to set up passes. We see that Justin McMahon's going to drop from the outside to the inside to try to make a pass. But like you said, it's really the tight radius of these corners. Being a 1.5 mile track, you got to be much tighter through the corners. And that's why this outside line really works very well, because the farther you move up the track, the less turn radius there is up there. And it allows you to be a little bit more easy on the tires. And, you know, it's one thing you'll see here is we get about probably 20-25 laps into a run here, you'll start seeing these guys that are on this outside line might start getting up into the wall. Actually, it's very easy to go in too deep to these corners, especially when you're in that draft with all that downforce taking off the nose of your race car, and they go right up into that green outside wall. That is very easy to do, as I see that right there in front of us as we ride on board with the car. That was a prime example. We'll see more and more as the tires begin to wear.
That driver into the wall is going to be the 28 of Jonathan Smith, just brushing the wall for a quick moment, giving a quick scare for the field, but everyone latching on safely as they continue forward. And again, it can easily get in the wall. You're going to slow down immediately and drop over 15 miles per hour and be a calamity factor, or you can get what we just saw right there. You can brush the wall, slightly slow down, maybe 2 to 4 miles per hour, and you can react as a field around that driver. It's those dramatic loss of pace that really can hurt that outside groove if no one's paying attention fully to what's happening in front of them.
You got to be paying attention, that is for sure, Sam. If you're not paying attention, you can easily run somebody over or just have someone make a big move on you that you're not expecting and be kind of caught off guard if you're not just focusing completely forward. So it does take a lot of focus to get around this Atlanta Motor Speedway, but right now everybody doing an excellent job as they come around the complete lap number 8, and it's still that outside line looking to be where most people are relying on staying down there. It's really just 3 cars, that 41 Andy Cork, the 24 Justin McMahon, and I believe that is the 88 down there along with him.
And the 88 machine is Stephen Hayes, going to be showing out here tonight. Another new face and name out there on track for us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Again, it's the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. We got to cover their last season. It was the 2024 Season 1, where we got to crown Kevin Thompson as the champion. And some of these drivers run in multiple different leagues that the Doghouse Leagues run. They have, like we said here, we covered on Thursday nights, the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. They also run an Xfinity Series on Tuesday nights that some of the field prefers to run on, and they come together for the fundraising night that we get to cover here this evening. And seeing another driver into the wall, that's the 9, Steve Bonomo, but I believe that was a little bit of an internet showing incident of putting him into the wall, but not actually there for himself.
Yeah, that's easy to have that happen there. As you get closer and closer to that wall, sometimes that network issues can pop up, and it almost looks like the car gets into the wall and will throw some imaginary sparks, so to say, out the car. So that can be a little bit of a scary moment, because when you see those sparks and that kind of the smoke and the dust that pops up when someone hits the wall, it can cause you to check up. That could be the accordion effect that leads to another incident. So it's definitely one of the things you got to watch out for. Riding on board, though, back here with the 28 of Daniel Wilkerson back here. He's right on this bottom lane, right behind the 48 of Michael Hayes, who, let's say, in a new number this season. So Hayes going to be interesting to watch. That is, we have another car blinking again up in the outside line, and that is a dangerous thing to see there, Sam, with it being this packed up.
Extremely dangerous. I think the drivers are all starting to recognize, okay, we might want to drop low or give a little bit more space for one another, and we're starting to see the space unit still grow. It's been similar of seeing our top, I would say our top 8. They've been running their own pace, and then it's 9th on back that have been in that weird limbo state. If they want to push forward, they don't want to be close enough to where if a chain reaction happens, they're getting involved in that accordion effect. So drivers are still willing to drop low, maybe give a little bit of 2 to 3 car length spacing in front of them, still having that draft help, but don't want to be in danger fully every single lap.
Definitely don't want to be like that for sure. And it looks like right now, this bottom lane is starting to make a little bit of a charge there, being led by that 41. Also with the 24, the 4 on the bottom, now the 48 and the 28, both coming in line there. They've been able to make a little bit of headroom on that outside line, and you can see really the gap pulling from Bonomo back to Jonathan Smith on that top line. And I think that's really due to the blinking from Jonathan Smith. So that can cause this outside line to weaken just that little bit. And you can see right there, even the 24 on the bottom, having a hard time keeping it right into that line, almost washing up into the outside line. I think that's something we're going to have to watch for a lot tonight.
Yeah, that's that transitional phase, and usually it's not just one driver that we're going to see wash up. It's mostly the whole pack as a group will wash up as one and go up into the outside. Some go into the wall, some go into one another, some do their best not to wash into something, but it's usually a whole pack issue when it pops up. Feels like every 3 to 4 laps once we get into this transitional zone. So danger is rising. The field's starting to notice, and I think that's why we're starting to see this inside lane backing out for some that want to get out of the danger zone, while others are trying to push Cork to force him to go forward.
That they are, and you can see what it's causing there too. Is it, the 24 is right on the bumper as you're pushing into the corner. You lose all downforce. There's no air being really sent to the underfloor of that car, and that's what seals these cars to the racetrack, is getting that air flowing underneath that splitter onto the underbody and back to that diffuser. You can see when McMahon's like this right here, that is no downforce on this race car, and you're going to lose the nose every time you enter the corner. Look, washes up the racetrack once again.
Washy enough, but still wanting to show that Justin McMahon is a driver to watch out for. 24 didn't have the best season during the 2024 Season 1 campaign, and this season, it's a lot more for McMahon. I would say that he wants redemption. Was a former contender of a top 3 championship hunt almost every season in the 24, trying to build his momentum up in strength, and currently trying to get by Cork, not able to do so as he continues to loom behind the 41, but almost had a chance there as William Gentry was trying to give a bump to the 24 through the tri-oval, but that's not the safest place to make the move.
Definitely not the safest place to make the move, and I think that's why I backed out of that situation there a little bit. And they were making headway again on that bottom side. It's just hard to make it really last. It comes and it goes. You have one moment where you surge forward a couple lanes and you feel very, very strong, and then all of a sudden, all that work you did is lost in about a half a lap. So it's going to be an interesting situation to watch all night long, but we'll see if that bottom lane can ever overtake the outside.
Riding on board with our 3rd place in points finisher last season, the rookie last season, you can say rookie of the year, Michael Hayes. What a charge he had. Found himself tying in the most top 10s finishes last season with 12, had 9 top 5 finishes, 2 wins. And Michael Hayes, really looking back at his season, he missed one race that really put him in the hole and probably could have given him a chance to win the championship last season. I think for the 48 currently here tonight was 22 last season. Wants to have a chance to refight for a championship, but all drivers are going to keep their eyes on the leader of this race, Jonathan Jennings, because he didn't run a full season either. But if Jennings did, he was going to win the championship.
Oh, for sure. He was definitely when he was at the racetrack, he was the guy to beat, so to say. And I think a lot of people knew that. And he had some tough moments throughout the season where he got caught up and stuff, but it always felt like if something happened to him, he was at least leading the race or right in that top 1 to 2 region. So I think coming into this season, if he can put a full schedule together, it'll be very interesting to see if anybody can, take him down. And I mean, we've seen the Twisted Axle group. They were so strong last season with their teamwork and just making sure their setups work together. And they're going to have to bring that same competitive spirit back this season because we know Jennings is going to bring the fire.
Certainly are, as seeing the drivers trying to figure out how do you match Jonathan Jennings, Hunter Simpson continuing to lead up front. A factor as well to keep our eyes on is engine temperatures. Drivers getting a little bit too close to the driver in front of them for too long. Zach, Atlanta, we've seen it. Tire wear is a different factor to touch on. Is engine temps a factor to really worry about when racing here at Atlanta?
It can be. This place, you can get tucked up underneath someone just enough to where it will overheat. This place, I will say, is not as bad as Daytona or Talladega, and really the reason is because it's so tough to stay, right against the bumper for really all the way around the lap. Daytona and Talladega, we can pretty much tandem draft with these cars. You can put someone's nose right to the bumper and shove them all the way around 2.5 miles, and about a lap and a half of doing that, you'll overheat. Here at Atlanta, you get a good bit of separation in the corners usually, so it kind of leads to you not overheating. I will say it is possible though. I've had it in the past where you can overheat the cars if you're pushing well enough and able to stay glued enough to the bumper, especially with fresh tires. You can definitely overheat these race cars still.
As you might be seeing some of the vehicles jittering a little bit. Recently, iRacing's made a lot of big updates, and they've also previewed that there's going to be even more updates coming to their service. But the last couple of major updates have forced drivers and the servers to kind of make the cars jitter more. That's not where the cars are physically being ran, but the connection to the server is making the cars kind of shake back and forth. It's not the drivers forcing that shaking. So if you're seeing any drivers really kind of shake viciously through the corners or off the exit, it's mainly just the connection issue. But I know that there's a few drivers out there. I know I've seen Justin McMahon. He's drifted up, but there's also jittering happening. That's got to be kind of concerning for the drivers, Zach, because we talk about it sometimes when we see it in a caution net code. Is there more of a worry now with the servers and seeing drivers jittering around? Do you trust those drivers, or are you avoiding them when you see someone jittering like this?
Usually from my standpoint, I usually try to avoid them. If I see a car kind of do the wobble, so to say, that's what a lot of us guys say. It just seems like the car is just kind of above the ground and almost back and forth left and right, so to say, like that shake that you were saying. And it's a scary thing to see sometimes when you're out there. And of course, we know all the issues that have been plaguing iRacing really network-wise with servers and DDoS attacks throughout the past months. It's really been an unfortunate thing that we've seen happen, and it's definitely caused, a fair bit of issues. But I tell you, sometimes you got to throw a little bit of a network issue out for caution and just say, I'm going to go out there and do the best I can. Right now, we are starting to see that inside line actually start to make a little headway. I was wondering, too, our front three were so stacked up as Jennings is into the wall there, and that's going to stack everybody up. Oh, man, I don't know if they're going to make it through this.
Now drivers being sent to the outside wall. That's going to be Tyler Millette. Rest of the field able to scatter around the 94, but a huge save by the 91 and by the 5 Hunter Simpson. But it's going to be Tyler Millette who gets the worst of it for the 94 machine. He gets pushed further back in the field, but luckily still attached in the draft. And what should have been a big one, they hold on for now. You got to give it a couple of more laps, see if they can restack it up. But that little bit of slides here or there, that hurts the tires more, and drivers are risking it more into that outside wall. You see Gentry, he's having that shimmy and shake happening for the 4. As the rest of the field, we settle down, and now we got some new leaders. It's Adam Thompson in the 71 leading the charge up front.
That is. Adam Thompson took advantage of that. He dropped down to the inside line not too many laps ago, and it all works out for him with the outside line kind of imploding there. And Jennings all over the back bumper trying to make something happen here. Same with McMahon. He's able to jump up to third in that outside line. but it's also the 4 there. A Gentry who's been having a little bit of the, so to say, shakes. His old man McMahon dropping down low right in front of the 4, and Jennings also doing the maneuver down low with the big shove from the 24 into 3. Big moves being made here late into the run at lap 30, and this is usually when the tire wear is really starting to show up, and you can start to make moves that other people possibly can't, and that's when, having a little bit better tire wear can actually come back to benefit you hugely here at Atlanta.
Talking about that inside line starting to grow after the slip and slide incident of the 5 of Hunter Simpson and Jonathan Jennings. As another driver, though, getting out of shape. That's Jamie Horn with the huge drift and keeping it together off the exit turn 2. Somehow, these drivers are just on it today, able to give each other plenty of space to back off if they need to. A little bit of 3-wide action for deeper in the field, but given space when issues are striking. I think everyone's recognizing we're 30 laps into this run. These drivers do have a full fuel load, so they can go pretty far on fuel, but tires at this point are screaming for you to come into pit road if you haven't been protecting, and you've been just going full throttle every corner and not lifting, protecting, and we're seeing those that are protecting, they're able to stay up front.
That they are. Jennings made the good move to get back out to that lead, and it's interesting to see now leaders of all locating themselves to the bottom. And the reason why I'll think, this, and I've always thought about this as a driver myself here, is you kind of, when you run the bottom here, you give yourself more room for mistake. So pretty much if you go into the corner too hot and you wash up the racetrack, it's really not too big of an issue. You enter against that wall as Andy corking the 41 into the outside wall after getting loose off of 2. That's the second time we've seen somebody get loose there, and that's going to check up 2 race cars there. And that is going to be a big loss of time for the 41, and I think he's going to have possibly some right front damage off of that.
Andy Cork required damage with the angle that he got into the wall. It busted up his front wheel well and had to go into pit road as the 41 machine. Adam Thompson was the second driver that was put in the wall and has to lose the front draft and pack. He'll most likely go work with the group of 3 of Gary Armio, Eric Anderson, and also Donald Leftwich that are about 5 seconds off of the tail end of the field. So there's still time to work with. As speaking of the tail end of the field, here's the 88 machine of Stephen Hayes, who's just in a calm down, okay, we survived moment, as he's seeing a run building up and taking advantage of the little bit of extra speed as the inside lane checks up for a second.
That he is taking advantage of that checkup, and that's what can happen when you have so many people lined up in a line like that. If you have free track to kind of run your own lane, so to say, and not have to lift, you can make up some big time here. But I think everybody so far is fighting to get to that bottom lane, and it seems like that's been the lane that's preferred here as the tires start to wear. But that inside lane there had a moment with Steven Bonomo and the 9 machine having a little bit of a checkup, and that's going to allow a few of these drivers to jump down into in front of position. It looks like that was the 99 of Trevor McLaughlin.
Everyone's trying to find their spacing at this point as the 2 veterans of the Cup Series lead the charge up front. Jonathan Jennings, Justin McMahon, drivers that are inside of the top 5 of most starts ever in the history of the Doghouse Cup Series, as Jonathan Jennings finds himself being the 3rd overall starter, and then 4th overall starter being Justin McMahon. They've had their duels throughout the history from all the way back to 2021 to now. They've had their separate duels and now working together to stay up front, but outside pack being led by the new guard. It's going to be Michael Hayes on the outside trying to pull along, and everyone else behind him with Jamie Horn and a few others. But the 48 wants to be the leader, and he's climbing quickly up to 2nd and now almost drag racing for the lead position.
Man, oh man, what a run we just seen there from Hayes. Horn from that outside lane. He also got the 5, Hunter Simpson up top too, working very, very well there and showing that, hey, yeah, the bottom lane might be working for now, but we're making the outside work again. So this is just showing that you can really make speed anywhere. And I think what it is really it's most important to have a car out in front that is handling good so they can really cut the air for the field and make good time, because if you're able to have someone that can go forward and actually push the race car, you'll be drafting up right with them and be able to pull yourself along. As you can see the separation that happens to that 48 as he sails it off into the corner. That 98 of Horn just not able to keep his race car right tucked up to the bumper, and that's making it tough for them to continue that run forward.
The stability is working for the 48 machine as Justin McMahon, who we've been talking about since lap 14, the handling has just been slowly drifting away for the 24. He continues to what it looks like overdrive, but just tightens up on the entry of the corner where it just does not want to turn. 24 once again able to skate away, just means he has to back off a little bit more on entries and also trying to keep pace with the driver in front of you. It's that awkward juggling act you're trying to do for these drivers. Also is awkward for the likes of Michael Hayes. I mean, Zach, it's so tempting when you've been saving your tires. You can just as easily overcook them by driving way too fast this late into a run.
Definitely can. You can overheat those tires very, very quickly. And that's the thing is, farther back, it looks like Adam Gardner got involved in something with Tyler Millette, maybe in the 94. No, sorry, the 22 with Jeremiah Stutzman. And we have our first yellow.
Stutzman going to be on the inside apron. And our first caution of the day on lap 41 of 195. Looked to be just a little bit of overdriving around one another in the back half of the field. Potentially a chain reaction call, but it's a 22 that gets spun around for himself of Stutzman, who's in 22nd position. He was battling for that 16th spot, but here's what happens through the entry of turn one. Just gets right into Adam Gardner and just looks like a kind of a accordion factor checking up Zach that the 22 was not prepared for.
That's exactly what it was, Sam. Really, everybody, you can see, look at the gap that was in front of Nicholas Atwood there. He had a huge gap in front of him. He got caught up right into it, and then he has to check up along with Adam Gardner once they get to the cars ahead. And then Stutzman was the last one to the scene, and unfortunately, he's the one that gets into the back of Adam Gardner. Tyler Millette then actually gets into the back of Stutzman as he's going sideways, so it just continues the chain reaction of that wreck. And there we go, like we said, first yellow of the night, 41 laps in.
I believe a blimp view might give us a clearer picture of that little action you were talking about, Zach, of the fact that the drivers just, all the spacing closed up so quickly and there was just nowhere to go for that 22 machine, and off he goes. As we'll take another look at it. Here's that top view you were talking about, Zach. There's all that spacing and it disappears so quickly.
It happens so fast. It is literally in the blink of an eye. You see, oh, we got a good run, we're going forward, and then boom, the 66 gets up to the 9, and then he has to check up, and then from there, the drivers that had the big run coming at them, it's even more quick because they had such a run and it's such a difference of speed that it creates that fast reaction that you got to make. Luckily, Atwood, Gardner, they do get slowed down and they check it up in time. But for Stutzman, he can't expect that to be happening. He gets into the back of Gardner, and then from there, the chain reaction, so to say, happens. And I can tell you one thing: all these drivers are happy because now they get to come put four Goodyear tires on their car and make that feel much, much better.
You get to use one of their sets, and they're left with just 4 sets from here on out for the field. For those that are pitting, a few drivers, this also is going to be critical for Andy Cork, who was having his trouble with required damage. He was needing a yellow flag to come out, as well as drivers that have gotten in the wall during that run, able to get service, like Adam Thompson, Tyler Millette, and also Nicholas Atwood, spending a little bit of extra time. Also, so a few other drivers, Stephen Hayes, Shane Parrish, Adam Gardner, joining with Stutzman in a little bit of extra time at pit road for damage repair. But most of the field, all of them, 4 tires and fuel for this launch. Zach, 40 laps clean and green. A couple of scary moments popped up, but overall, I mean, this race has been pretty amazing to watch with how everyone's been racing with one another.
No doubt. It has been very, very competitive. Everybody's been going back and forth with the racing, and I tell you, it's been a pleasure to watch so far. We've definitely got some interesting conditions going out there, and I think we'll be seeing the weather here in a few about how this racetrack is going to go through changes all throughout the day.
Well, it's overcast. You can see in the clouds in the sim, but also the track temp, kind of going with an opposite approach. Over 100 degrees is the track temp that they're dealing with, 106, but it has been on the decline. During practice, it was up to 117 degrees on the track temp, now only to 106. But the one factor that's most dangerous, it's the wind. It has been very high, and it's been blowing constantly.
And I tell you what, that can have a huge, huge factor on how these cars handle more and more. Just due to the super speedway style of racing here, that wind can have a huge effect on how your car not only handles, but what kind of runs you also get going down the back straightaway in the front straightaway.
We're going to take a good run for one lap, and I think when we come back to the start-finish line, we'll try to do a crank it up here for the field, because Michael Hayes, Jonathan Jennings, I don't think they're going to cool off. They're just going to ramp it up as we're back to Green Flag Racing for the Atlanta 300 League fundraising night. A little bit of checkup issues further on back, but we stay clean and green. Up front, they start roaring, and here we go, Zach down into turns 1 and 2.
Great start there from that inside lane as they're able to pull ahead here entering into 1, and it's going to be the work of Hayes, and along with the 98 of Horn there is now the 99 Trevor McLaughlin. He's going to jump up to the top, and he's going to try to have the help from the 91 of Jennings, who has the 5 of Simpson right behind him. So let's see if this outside lane can get back to being dominant.
We'll see if the dominance is going to show as they start roaring down into turn number 1. Crank it up. Let's hear the sounds of the engines here at Atlanta. Welcome back. Hopefully you enjoy the roars of these engines at Atlanta. The pack has grown into 2 separate groups, but soon about to be marching right back to one solid pack. Up front, it's still Hunter Simpson leading the charge. He's found some help with Trevor McLaughlin on the outside groove, and also with Will Gentry joining with the rest of the field. They are trying to solidify where they're running in positioning. We saw in that first run, not a lot of movement once we got into a decently 20 to a 3-lap green flag action. It was around that window that we started to see some movement with the tire wear starting to be a factor. Tonight, we'll wait and see when that new factor. Maybe the drivers want to be a little bit more antsy, aggressive, or will they be more patient? That's what we'll keep our eyes on this next run. I want to say thank you to all those that are watching with us here this evening. You're watching the Doghouse Cup Series fundraising night at Atlanta 300 on your Thursday evening on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me in the booth is Zach Hall, and running productions is Robert Moyer Jr. Zach, these drivers, we've seen the change up, the change of guard at times, but it's Hunter Simpson back to the point where he was at the start of this race.
That he was. He was doing great work with his teammate Jonathan Jennings, but Jennings here has gotten separated from him back in the 8th position, running this bottom side, and seems like for now, again, the top line just being the place to be at the start of runs. You'll see now the 91 of Jennings in that Valvoline machine jump up to the top side and kind of leave that bottom out there because he just feels like they're losing a little too much time. So let's see what he can do with it. We also got Eric Anderson up here in the mix now. He was in that backpack from last time, and they got helped out by that caution, because if we would have stayed green, most likely around the 80 to 90 mark of this race, they would have been going a lap down with the speed difference that a smaller pack of cars was. So we'll see how Eric Anderson can race now, because he's getting a good old shove to the 98 of Jamie Horn on that bottom side as they continue to fight.
And also up front, seem to be getting a little bit aggressive. Gentry is really putting Hunter Simpson in an awkward situation through the trioval with the 4, really putting the pressure and trying to push the 5 at every opportunity, as the inside row being led by Jamie Horn. Probably one of the more surprising drivers from last season. Had a lot of highs and low moments, but came away 4th in points last season in the 98 machine, as Justin McMahon's going to be making the change to lead that inside row. But gotta say, Zach, Jamie Horton, I think he's also one of those drivers. I'm curious if he can find a little bit more consistency. I think he could be a factor for the championship this upcoming season.
No doubt. He was so interesting to see how it played out last season, because we've seen that big network issue there from one of the cars blinking out there for a second, jumping up like a motocross track. But, back to Horn, he was such a, great, story to really watch. He started off the season, really our, kind of race like this, a fundraiser, almost started the season race there at, all the way back to the fairgrounds. And he started on pole, had such a quick car early in the run, but it just seemed like the tires would always fall off the later in the run it got for him, and he's starting to struggle. And we saw that kind of carry over early into that, season last season. And this one, I tell you what, he is coming back after quite the end to last season. He was very much one of the faster cars on the longer run at the end of last season, and I think he really found something in the setup that really, worked out for him, not only driving wise, but on that longer run, so to say, because he had always had the speed, qualified well, but it always just seemed like, 20, 30 laps into the run, 98 was starting to struggle. But I tell you, if he can bring that same thing he had at the end of last season, he will definitely be a contender.
I think also another driver that was finding their own kind of footing at the end of the season is the driver behind the 98 machine in the blue and red 43 machine, Eric Anderson. He was starting to really find his own form at the end of the season, having some of his best career finishes ever. And he's also one of those drivers that have been racing in this series for a while. So, starting to see drivers grow throughout time. I know we've only got to see the field for just one season fully, and I'm excited to see kind of more growth from the field of drivers that are going to be running more and more often, and who will be the next growth and evolution drivers that maybe struggled a lot last season and just have a chance to maybe get a top 10, get a top 5, potentially a win at some point once the 2024 season 2 season starts up next season, which next season, crazy to think, next week we head to Indianapolis. That will be the initial start to the 2024 season 2 for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, and then they head to Nashville Super Speedway, and then they finish out their 3rd race at Pocono for the Tricky Triangle. 3 very different racetracks that they're going to start out to start the season off. But, that's always been the fun thing of different leagues, is the unique schedules that some tracks admins just want to try out, and sometimes the leagues themselves are voting for these tracks that we go to.
No doubt. It's always fun to see, just the diversity of tracks that you could pick for a schedule, especially for this next gen car. You can really take this thing about anywhere. So it's definitely going to be a fun start to the season here. And I'm, the one thing with it being an open setup league, even though tonight's a fixed setup race, with it being an open setup throughout the season, it's going to be so fun to see who is balanced up over the off season. It's been a longer side of the off season, so to say, and very well someone could have figured out just something in that few, in those months, to just be able to find a little bit more pace in the race car and just something that clicked that they didn't have last season. So it's always fun to see that, especially with the open setup side of things. This is going to be really a season that a lot of things could be changed.
It really could, and we're excited to give you, again, all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting with the season starting next week. If you haven't already, remember to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification button to be notified when we go live, as well as we cover 3 other series throughout the week. Monday through Thursday, we're giving you racing action with the ISRC Truck Series on Monday night. Then we give you the Challenger Racing League, a new league that's blossomed up. They just had their first race at Richmond. They're going to have their 2nd race on Tuesday night. And the WSSR on Wednesday night in the next gens. They're going to be having the start of their playoffs, where Zach Hall's going to be running in. Don't want to miss that on Wednesday evenings before we start back up with the new season next week here on Thursday nights for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. It's fun to be back, I would say, Zach, to a full song at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, where we have a full week of coverage to be giving out to our viewers.
No doubt. It is definitely a great thing to see. And, we've got some great, wonderful leagues right now with some, three of them just starting out, and of course WSSR, like you said, heading into the playoffs. So it's kind of a mix of everything we got going on right now, and it's going to be a fun time for sure, especially we get to see the next gen car 3 times a week, and then of course the truck on Monday night. So we got a good bit of variety there with that. And right now I can tell you one thing that's definitely on fire is right now these guys racing. It seems like we're seeing a big difference from that first run. The inside and outside pretty much competing evenly, so to say, here to start of this run.
Yeah, I'm looking at the speeds. I think right now they're really trying to save their tires a little bit more. That first run, it seemed like it was go, go, go. We're now 20 laps into this run. We've only seen, I would kind of want to use Justin McMahon as our control car because he was the first one we really saw that just moved up. It's taken him now 20 laps to start to see that same movement that took him 14 laps previously. So he's done a decently job of saving his tires, which means in the next 5 laps, we're going to be seeing the rest of the field have similar struggles. And I think the rest of the field's also recognizing, hey, let's give a little bit more space to that outside wall just in case we accidentally drift up a little too high.
That's for sure. I've already seen a few get into, I think, Hunter Simpson last time around out too. Kind of grazed the wall, so to say. And that's what I think they figured out too, is like that outside line might be super fast to start off, but it does hurt the tires by going that much quicker, and just also doesn't give you a bunch of room for error there. On the bottom lane, you can almost slide up, you know, almost two lanes, full lanes, before you start to get into somebody. On that outside, you got about a half a lane there to that outside wall, and we've seen what happens when you get into the outside wall. They pretty much come to a pretty abrupt halt there and lose a lot of speed. So it's definitely something that can lead to big checkups, big accordion effects, and big wrecks. So we'll see how that shakes out. But for the time being, Bill Gentry on that bottom side has done a great job with the help of Justin McMahon to hold that lead. But it's Jamie Horn now starting to make a little bit of pace on the outside.
Trying to find the pace for themselves, an outside groove, working with Trevor McLaughlin in the 99 machine. Also want to give a shout out to those in the chat. We've got Kevin Brown. Usually would run the 33 yellow machine, usually out there on track. Can't wait to see Kevin back out on course. And also in the chat, we got our last season champion of Kevin Thompson, just saying what's up to each other in the chat. Happy to be giving you guys, again, coverage of the Doghouse Cup Series on Thursday nights, the official season starting next week. But for tonight, it is the Atlanta 300 League fundraising night. It's been a fun one overall to cover as we're closing in on 70 laps in the books. For us, we're going to step aside for our first time here tonight. I know it's been side-by-side action, but guess what? You won't miss a thing because we're going to be going side-by-side ourselves. Again, thank you to everyone that is going to be joining in throughout the season once we start next week, and those that are joining us here tonight for the fundraising fun event that's just enabling these drivers to have a fun time. As we are going to take our first commercial break, we'll be back with more Atlanta Super Speedway Racing. They're 5 wide behind the pit.
Oh my, the 5 wide here. This ain't gonna work. They make it last. Bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here. Coming off a 4. That's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes. Oh no, Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trying to dive it down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top 2 bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28. Trouble striking, and our first big one of the night happens as we were in the middle of that commercial break. William Gentry in the 4 machine went for a ride off the exit of turn 4, went into the grass, and at one moment thought maybe he was just going to stay low, but coming back on course, it went horribly for the field. Zach, we were watching on our end, and that's not the way you want to save a car, but that certainly is a way to make some other machines go haywire.
Whew, that's for sure. Michael Hayes went for a ride there, but it all really started, I think, probably most likely a little bit of a bump there from, yeah, it actually was a bump from Justin McMahon off the exit of 4, and it's going to send him down here onto the grass. And when you hit these access roads, that it's the Legends Oval there, you jump and your tires come off the track actually physically. And when you land, these cars are so stiffly sprung that I'm sure it just shot that thing right. And yeah, that was unfortunate to see because that was some heavy collisions. Luckily, these guys do have a fast repair though.
They do have a fast repair. One driver had already used it before this incident. That was the 41 of Andy Cork. Cork looks to be not involved in this wreck, but here's another sign of it. Just the unfortunate, just nothing you can do. I mean, that incident is, you're just sitting for the ride and the over into a wreck, and it's just a helpless feeling would be the best way to phrase it. When you're just in the field, you see a driver going to the grass, you're hoping they'll stay low, but instead they come creaming back into the field.
No doubt. It's definitely a helpless feeling, especially because you really have nowhere to go. You know, if you weren't side by side, you could kind of maybe make a maneuver to try to miss them, but there's not really anywhere for you to make that maneuver when you're, 2 by 2 by 2 all throughout the field. And that is definitely going to put a hurt on a few guys. I think Eric Warman is going to be sitting on pit road, and he's going to be having to take a tow, so that is going to be tough for him to bounce back from, because now he's 2 laps down. Michael Hayes had to take a tow. He's 2 laps down. I believe Bill Gentry also had to take that tow also. Or sorry, no, he didn't take a tow, but he got back to pit road and lost a lap through all that. So just shows you again, anything can happen here so quickly at this racetrack.
Extremely quickly, and just in a blink of an eye, that incident will get these drivers reset mentally. I mean, we were just talking about it under the commercial break. We're not even with 100 laps to go. This race is going to be a long one here tonight, and already signs of trouble for some, and being multiple laps down because of having to take a tow is just the worst feeling, even without knowing that you have a fast repair to work with. This is a tough incident for Michael Hayes, Eric Warman, because their night could be completely over because they're going to be multiple laps down, and there's just nothing you can do in this situation. But there are some drivers that are looking with this incident happening, and here's going to be our top 5 and how they look like coming into this restart. We got Trevor McLaughlin as well as Jamie Horn, Hunter Simpson, Shane Parrish, and Adam Gardner. Top 5 drivers got to be feeling pretty confident on the fact that, all right, well, some of that competition, they're now moved out of the way.
That's for sure. Yeah, definitely like the positioning they're sitting at right now, and love to see how it all shakes out for a lot of these guys. But man, that was tough for a few, and it's going to bring our field a little bit more smaller in size, but it did bring back a few guys that were lost to that draft, and we'll see now how, if they restack them back up, how they're going to attack this Atlanta Motor Speedway. And like you said, Sam, we're not even near halfway yet, so this is going to be quite the interesting battle. And also it's just kind of shaking up the strategy with where these cautions are lying, so this is going to be an interesting situation once we get this thing back underway.
23 drivers entered tonight, and it looks to be about 6 of them already going to have to use our fast repair before we even get to halfway here this evening. As the pace car pulls off, see Barney the flagman waiting to throw that green flag in. Here we go. It's time to go back to green flag action at the Atlanta 300 League fundraising night here at Legacy Motor Speedway. And it's McLaughlin leading the charge down into turn number 1.
Great start from McLaughlin out front, and it's going to be that number 66 is Shane Parrish, who's going to be the first one up to him on the back straightaway with the push with Jamie Horn, Hunter Simpson on the bottom, in the field very strung out as they head into three. This is going to cause a big accordion effect for a lot of these guys because they're going to be getting some pretty big runs from farther back, but it seems like right now the inside lane is taking off.
Inside lane has a lot more drivers down there, a lot more security. We talked about how it gives you a little bit more space to work with if you find yourself with any mistakes. And the outside row, kind of where you want to be if you want to start moving forward as quickly as possible. But a few drivers kind of be impatient with how they want to run this race. Also seen a couple of drivers as Justin McMahon and a few others were kind of dashing their way to the inside when they saw it opening. That's one of the few ways that you can race at these super speedway style courses is that aggression, no hesitation moves that sometimes can get you in trouble if you're not careful with over snapping your car down to the inside or outside.
That's right. Oh, Trevor up into the outside wall there. That's going to get him slowed up a little bit. Now Shane Parrish going to go to the middle here, 3 wide with Mike Leftwich in the bottom there. They're going to have to squeeze through 3 and 4 now with this happening, and we'll see how they can make it last. I think McLaughlin's going to be the one that's a tough out of luck here, but it seems like he gets the best run out of the corner, and he's actually going to pull back in front of Shane Parrish, and that is going to be a big move for the 99 to hold on to his track position on the outside.
Big move being graced by Parrish, and Parrish will just linger for now. As Kevin Thompson in chat did say, let's go Twisted Axle for the 66, 56, and 19. No two of them are out there on course, as that will be the 56 and the 66. We'll see how Parrish and Gardner can work as one. Adam Gardner, remember, has won the last 2 super speedway tracks in just a dominant fashion with Twisted Axle. But currently mired in the middle of the field and really hasn't shown any life of cracking into the top 5 as we've been running green.
That's for sure. It's tough when you get mired back like that to try to find your way through, but Gardner's done a good job to somewhat get himself closer and closer up again, but the 99 stuck in the middle here, 3 wide, and that is going to shake things up once again as he's dropping back, so to say, in the sucker hole as everybody works their way around, but it's going to be close entering into one.
Felt like a ping pong ball at the start, but now is finally finding some openings, potentially drop low, and will find that slot right in front of Gary Armio. Is going to be the 99, and a little bit of a mixture does hold back some speed and gives openings for some new drivers on the inside row to put some pressure forward, as going to be seeing the 60 machine. It's going to be Donald Leftwich, otherwise known as Mike Leftwich, trying to push his way forward with all assistants around him. That's going to be seeing the likes of Christopher Simon, Stephen Minomo. They're trying to make this inside line work as quickly as possible, but they certainly are starting to see that wear and tear into this run, as I feel like they maybe got a little bit too aggressive on this most recent restart with some of the movement. It might feel that tightness in the next 3 to 4 laps a little bit sooner than the last 2 stints we've had.
That's for sure. If you go out there and are aggressive with your maneuvers, and really what it comes down to a lot of times, in my opinion, here, this track is if you're aggressive with the throttle pedal, if you carry more speed early in the run and you hold that throttle pedal down and really force that car to turn down the track and, you know, carry all that speed, it's just going to equate to more and more tire heat, which builds up those tire pressures, which in turn is going to reduce the grip on that tire by making it much more stiffer than what it would be previously. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys handle, but it's definitely picked up a little bit when it comes to aggression. Maybe, you know, the understanding is that, hey, we're not going to have as long of green flag runs here, especially if the strategy stays the same. But at the same time, this is a place where you don't want, it's not like Daytona or Talladega where you want to stick to a set plan of pitting strategy. You kind of want to wait to the last moment, because if you do pit, you will go laps down here at this place. This is not, you know, Daytona Talladega where it's big enough to where you won't go a lap down if you pit, pit at a certain point. You will lose laps, and if the caution comes out, you're going to be stuck laps.
I was kind of feeling a little nervous there with Michael Hayes getting back out on track in 48 right in front of Mike Leftwich in the 60 machine, the Shoney's machine, trying to get his way forward, and luckily they slowed down enough, kept up with speed, and now it's going to be Michael Hayes, who's 4 laps down, trying to lead the inside lane to get one of his 4 laps back if possible, and then hope to bank on a caution flag, as For Michael Hayes, he also needs to have William Gentry and Eric Warman get all their laps back before he would find himself being the lucky dog recipient. But drivers for now, it's Jamie Horn leading the charge, but right behind him, you kind of get a sense they might make a move. They might decide just to follow Horn. Hunter Simpson, Jonathan Jennings, they could make a dashing move to the inside and make a pass here as quickly as they want, but most likely they're just all going to stay in line on the outside.
That was a very interesting predicament there. You know, if the two teammates lined up now second and third on that outside row, like you said, they could make a pretty big maneuver because they know, you know, if Simpson makes the move to the inside, he knows Jennings is going with him, but they don't want to take that, I think, that chance right now of getting stuck on the bottom and, you know, getting themselves mired back in the field, because so far we've seen the front side of the field hasn't had issues really, other than when Bill Gentry got the bad push from the 24 off of 4. It's really been the wrecks that have been happening that farther back in the group where the accordion effect happened. So staying up here in the second and third position, not the worst for those two teammates.
Checking out the chat and the conversation back and forth between Kevin Thompson and Kevin Brown. Brown announcing he will not be running this season because of work being there, and Kevin Thompson taking a break before the new season. Makes sense to take a break after winning a championship. With how strong Twisted Axle was, Zach, I'm not surprised to see the two top dogs of Interesting Core and Thompson kind of backing off before they go head first into another season.
No doubt, you want to definitely, you know, prepare yourself for the season, and a race like tonight is a great way to get back in that mode, so to say. But I think a lot of their focus is definitely when it comes down to the open setup side of things, where you got to make sure your equipment is ready to go. And I'm sure they've been working hard in the off season to get a few setups even ready for these first few races and just try new things out and maybe completely different styles of building the setups. So you use that off season for there. So I'm sure the work has still been strong during the off season. It's just you want to take a little bit of a break before it all kicks off, just so you can have that strong mental game going on when it starts.
As the run progresses forward, the drivers stay in line as we're closing in to the halfway marker of tonight's race. It's been a pleasure to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Again, if you would like to see the racing action that we give you here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, if you haven't already, we'd love it if you hit that subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when we go live with one of our 4 broadcasts throughout the week, remember to hit the bell notification button as well. Also, another way to let us know that you're enjoying the show is by hitting the like button for these broadcasts. If you're just enjoying the racing action, if you're enjoying the content that we bring out, that like button really does let us know that you're enjoying what we're putting out for you. And I know, Zach, it's kind of been cool to see the milestones that we've been building on these last few years of hitting 1,000, hitting 2,000 subscribers. And I can't wait to see what the next goals we're going to be hitting in these next few years.
No doubt, Sam. It's always great to see how fast Freaky Fast is growing. And, you know, we always appreciate everybody out there tuning in, chatting in the chat, subscribing, just giving us the love and support that we need to continue this. You know, it really motivates us up in the booth, up here to work, you know, as hard as we possibly do to make this grow, make this better every time we come out to the racetrack. So it's always fun to see, you know, people really enjoying the broadcasts, and we really appreciate all the kind words. And we'd love to see new people always coming to different nights. You know, just because you watch one night doesn't mean you can't come join us on another night. So it's definitely fun to see the grouping up here that we've seen and just building of the Freaky Fast family.
Yeah, I mean, joining and watching other nights. I mean, I think of Wednesday night WSSR, it's kind of turned into what we call the all-star night in some ways, where a lot of different league drivers come together that we've covered in past leagues, or even brand new drivers have shown up. And it's been awesome to see drivers show up that have been in the chat or on track for all the leagues that we cover here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. As now it's the leaders of the lap cars on the inside, Eric Warman and Michael Hayes, battling for position. That's for 22nd, 23rd place, as they're both 4 laps down and leaving the inside row. Might want a little bit more help if possible, but they're kind of stuck. They've got to work with what they've got as the outside row continues to push forward. Not a lot more lap traffic expected for the next few laps, so the field stays in line. And for us, I think it might be the best time to take a commercial break once again, as we're closing in on 100 laps completed. It's been a pleasure to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. When we come back, more Atlanta racing. Who's going to make the first move? Maybe to pit road, or maybe a move for the lead. We'll find out when we come back from this commercial break as we go side by side. ladies and gentlemen, to the Doghouse Cup Series as we're having fun here at Atlanta for the Atlanta 300 League fundraising night. Your eyes don't deceive you. We are back, and we're practically at the same spot we were at when we went to commercial break. The only change is that Andy Cork tried to be a little bit of a mixer-upper by staying high, but even after that, it took about 5 laps, and we're right back to inside row, stuck at 5th position, not able to advance any further, and it's being led by lap down driver of Michael Hayes. Hayes has been able to get by Eric Warman, so he is the 3rd driver a lap down, but he's 4 laps down. New driver leading the Lucky Dog spot is William Gentry, who's currently at the tail end of this group and just waiting for a chance to get that Lucky Dog spot back. Up front, it's been all Jamie Horn and Hunter Simpson, and Jonathan Jennings just dominating the outside groove. And this is what this race has turned into, Zach. It's more of waiting for pit stops. That is really what's going to change this race completely, because at this point, there has been zero movement on how they're going to change up how they're running this race currently.
No, for sure. It's gotten to the point of the race, and this kind of happens in Super Speedway races a bit, where you have a few incidents and it kind of puts everybody in the mood of, all right, let's just log some laps. And it seems to be that way right now, is they're just trying to personally get to that pit stop window that they want to hit. And we'll see when they do elect to come back. We've went 40 laps now. Most likely it's going to be about another 10 to 15 laps before we start seeing pit stops really start to play out. And the question is going to be just,
that's Gentry.
Yeah. A little bit of a contact to the outside wall there, so that was almost into the lull in action right here. That almost brought us to a flashpoint for a moment with another caution, but luckily he keeps it together. And right now this field just trying, like I said, to make some laps and get to that point. So we'll see when they do finally get to this pit stops what happens, because that is another scary thing about this place, Sam, and I don't think we've talked about it yet, is getting to pit road here is very different than what we see in real life in NASCAR. You know, they made it a deal where they added the rule of you have to enter on, you know, before turn 3 and 4, really. So you had to get onto the apron on the backstretch and get onto the, you know, the pit road there. Here on iRacing, you can enter pit road from the exit of 4, and I can tell you what, it gets very, very sketchy, especially when you're in a pack like this trying to pit. So at some point, they'll be trying to move themselves down to get to that inside the pit, but then you're going to have to make sure you got the call-outs right, because if not, drivers could easily run the back of you and be completely destroying your night.
I mean, especially the fact that everyone is in this pack. There is no driver that is completely safe from if there's an incident in this grouping. Everyone is in this pack. All 23 drivers are in this group, and they're just waiting for a chance to pounce on a chance of an incident happening, or if they have to make a pit stop. But I mean, Zach talked about how it's going to be troublesome. There is no fanning out area. You have to be willing to open up and be vocal, and it seems like we're starting to see drivers giving a lot more spacing. This is usually that time that if you're giving a lot of spacing up, you're trying to set up positionings to come into pit road in the next 10 to 5 laps.
That's for sure, Sam. Yeah, it's definitely looking to be that way. And, you know, the more and more this happens, the more that we'll start to see a little bit of separation, a little bit of gaps being formed, like you were saying. So it's going to be interesting to see once we get to that point. But right now, everybody's still electing to hold that outside line. It's kind of a little different than what we seen earlier, where the inside line was really able to fight back late into the run as the tires start to work. I don't know if this track's going through a little change with the addition of everybody laying down the rubber. Of course, these overcast conditions causing a ton of grip, I'm sure, here as the day heads on through. But it seems like now, with the leadership of William Gentry, they're starting to make their headway back up there. And remember what happened to the 4 when he was out in front of his pack. He got that bad bump from the 24 that sent him around, and it seems like he can lead that inside very well. So we'll say Adam Garner up into the outside wall. This is going to make it 3 wide here, and that's going to stack up this outside line and make a ton of momentum being lost.
And this is nerve-wracking for the field, because they were seeing 2x2 get a little bit hectic further in the back, and now going to be seeing the driver of the 43 stuck in the middle. How do you give your space Racing, and can you get in line quick enough as Anderson just nowhere to go, has to continue fade backwards. There's an opening about to be in front of him, but they close it up. He has to continue to fade backwards, still 3 wide. This is the action we were waiting for. Now could be Atwood into the outside wall for the 19 machine, but they still stay 3 wide. Keeping the foot in the throttle was the 19 machine, even with the grays. And we continue to fight side by side. Almost contact there with Leftwich. Leftwich still trying to hold that group, but you know it's some lap in the next 2. Someone's going to get tight and push up that 43 into the outside.
That's exactly right. 43 getting very tight there himself as Atwood really closing down onto him right there. That was very close action between this grouping, and you're going to see that, I think, more and more as the tires start to wear. If someone gets 3 wide, it'll just start to really constrict together, such as a boa constrictor. So it's definitely one of those places you don't want to be. And Eric Anderson's able to jump up to the outside lane finally and get out of that mess of the inside. But we'll see now if the inside lane can take advantage of this, because you're William Gentry, you know, you can go up there and get your lap back the old-fashioned way if you can get out to the lead of this field and then a caution comes out. Andy Cork would love that too, who's right behind him, because that would allow him to get the lucky dog.
I'm honestly wanting some type of issue to boss him up and wanting to get that lucky dog spot if possible. Use every single lap car at this moment, but again, we still wait for the looming time of when do we go into pit road. We have our estimations of when we expect these drivers to come into pit road to get their service done, but it obviously can change with the laps that are being placed, with how fast these drivers are running. They could slow down and save a couple of laps here and there and try to stretch the fuel out as far as they can go. I mean, Zach, at the rate that they're going, the field is trying to turn this race into one stop from here on out. So to imagine they're willing to slow down if they have to give that little bit of extra fuel later on.
No doubt, yeah. These guys might be trying to stretch it a little bit. Some of them farther back could be in the position where they know if they can get to a certain number, they could possibly stretch it out from there. Because right now, the way we're looking at, this is about, you know, when they cross the line next time by, it'll be 70 to go. If they can get to almost 60 to go before they pit, they may be able to very well make it on fuel, because right now we're already crossed 51 laps. So if you can take it another 10, that tells me you could be able to make it to the end of this race. So we'll see how this shakes out. But right now, that inside line finally making some headway, and William Gentry, Andy Court trying to get their laps back the old-fashioned way.
I've seen this deja vu scene before. Bottom line, will we see carnage strike as Justin McMahon trying to push the lap car of Andy Cork to get to the back bumper of the 4 machine of William Gentry, and it's the lap cars leading the inside row, and for Gentry almost able to take that position to get back onto the lead lap, and then would love to have a caution flag come out and gift that position to Andy Cork to get the lucky dog spot and get both on the lead lap. But they continue to stay side by side. The inside row is yet to make a pass on the outside unless there is a huge lap car that's kind of holding them back. Someone breaks loose, a bad bump. That's the only way you see that outside lane kind of lose their strength and power. But seeing some movement, drivers dropping down low. It's going to be Jamie Horn, Hunter Simpson, Jonathan Jennings, all wanting to get to the inside.
Everybody fighting for that inside lane. That tells me maybe pit road is going to be happening very, very quickly. And soon as old farther back, it's 3 wide and they're bumping and banging. It looks like a few drivers getting into it. Yeah. Wow.
Wilkerson looked like he was fading quickly, almost like he was almost kind of, his fuel was starting to run out. Something did not look right for the 28 machine. He broke a lot of that pack up that was once all on top of one another, which is, for the lead pack, they'll take that a reward of seeing over 8 drivers losing touch to the lead pack, because now it's more spacing to work with when trying to enter pit road. But a big moment there that almost could have shook up this race. 55 laps have been ran under this fuel stint. We're closing into that halfway marker. The drivers can take it from there to the end of this race. They just need to go 5 more laps, and then this race really turns into an action-packed, where do you want to place yourself incident, because pit road, we will see carnage. The question is, how many drivers will be hurt by it?
That is for sure, Sam. We definitely most likely will see some carnage, and even with the, you know, the cause of that little incident there, we did have a little bit of the pack breakaway. So from 13th on back to 19th. It looks like you can see in the background there, they've lost some time. So if something does happen, they may be in the safe position actually. So this isn't the worst case scenario for them, as these overcast conditions continue to almost get worse and worse, and the visibility is almost even getting a little worse here as the daylight goes out.
And if it does get too bad, don't worry, they've got lights. They can turn those off for the field as they continue to race on. Starting to see a little bit more single file. Almost everyone's to the inside, but Bill Gentry, who continues to brush the outside wall. Also going to be following on the outside lane to be Jonathan Smith, who looks to be trying to make sure the 4 does not lose track of the draft. But everyone in the lead pack is on the inside row, meaning this is a sign. Pit stops are calling. We just wait for that true moment where everyone gets on the radio. They start typing in the driver's chat, pit stop, and get ready for it.
That's for sure. We're waiting for that to start lighting up our chats here on iRacing, just to see when this is all going to play out. But the more and more they go here, the more convinced I am that they're going to be able to make it to the end of this race with this final stop. So this really sets up things for a wild scene, but it almost wrecking as Andy Cork got a little bit of a bump from Adam Gardner. That's going to separate the field more as he drifted through the exit of 3 and 4. What a gather up from the 41.
Saw the drift, saw the smoke, and now the 41 going to lose touch, and he will now fall, being the second driver 1 lap down, losing that chance of the Lucky Dog spot for at least this moment. Luckily, the 4's right in front of him, but it breaks up this lead pack even more, and this rewards our top 4. That's going to be Jamie Horn, Hunter Simpson, Jonathan Jennings, as well as Steve Manomo. They're in a spot where they do not need to make the call out that they're entering pit road because the pack behind them is too far back. They could just drop down there perfectly fine.
That's exactly right, Sam. This really helps them, and they're even catching Warman, who's going to go a 5th lap down here from this incident. So tough break for Eric Warman there, who's going to go down another lap down. But look at the gap formed, about 1.8 seconds back to Adam Gardner, almost 2 full seconds. And I think Horn almost gets into the wall there, a little bit tight on the entry of the corner there. And right now they're coming by to complete 135. That's 60 to go in this race. They have now went 61 laps. They should be good to make it once they make a pit stop. So pit road could be very busy here in the next few laps.
And most likely they're going to want to go at least 1, maybe 2 more laps if possible. But whoever is the first group to pit, they're going to have an advantage just having the extra tires and grip. They can really put down some fast laps. But this front group, the question is, when do they want to pit? And it's now. They're slowing up, trying to slow down as quickly as possible. The second pack just blitzes on by. McMahon's trying to keep attached to this front group that first pits, as well as Jonathan Smith. And that's going to be about 6 to 7 drivers coming in at that time. And it was a call entering turn 3 that the group was going to pit by Jonathan Jennings, and a flood of we're pitting now for this upcoming lap.
Wow, that all happened so quickly, and no black flags from anybody. So great job on entry here. Now just have to watch for exits. Here's Adam Gardner. Looks like he'll be coming down. Eric Anderson along with Shane Parrish, Nicholas Atwood. All these drivers coming to pit road here. Looks like also Christopher Simon. So for a moment there, I thought Gardner was pitting by himself. That was good to see a few more cars pill off with him. We'll have to see how they come out together.
Zach, it's almost like he did pit by himself. Black flag, too fast entering for Adam Gardner. He has a 40-second hold.
And, going back and looking at that, he was way over too. It was, 83 mile an hour on entry there. So that was almost 40 mile an hour faster than what he could be. And so no surprise to see that black flag for him, and that's tough. And he even slid through his box a little bit, so that's insult to injury there for him. So that is a tough sign to see. But right now, Adam Thompson leading the field. He's not the first car in the lead. He's the car behind William Gentry there in this group. That 4 now and on the lead lap technically with this maneuver.
Leading the timing tower and pushing Gentry as quickly as they can. But we still have this group that needs to figure out when they want to come into pit road. There's about 9 drivers that still need to pit before this run is over. And that's Adam Thompson, Steve Hayes, Trevor McLaughlin, Daniel Wilkerson, Tyler Millette, Stuntsman, Armio, Gentry, and as well Cork, that all still need to pit. Cork might be 1 lap down. Gentry's fighting to stay on the lead lap, but they're going to be a part of this group whenever they decide to pit, as Thompson slices to the inside, gets by the 4, and puts Gentry once again back to 1 lap down.
tough break from Gentry there, because you know, if the caution was to come out and he was ahead of him, that would have played out very nicely for him, and it would have trapped a lot of other drivers a lap down who have pitted already. So tough break there for him. Now he will be, actually no, Andy Cork has passed him, so Andy Cork would be the first car lap down. So this is still an interesting situation with especially Thompson, Stephen Hayes, Trevor McLaughlin, Daniel Wilkerson. It looks like now Jeremiah Stutzman, Wilkerson, all these drivers coming into pit road here.
With a grouping of 4 in pit road as they get their service done for Wilkerson, Willett, Armio, and Gentry looks to be leading that group. As you know, it makes sense for 45 drivers to enter pit road, but this last group, they've been out on track with this older tires for over 3 laps since the first group pitted. I'm shocked that they're still out there on track, but this could be a strategy call of, if there's a caution, hey, you're in advantage. All those other drivers are trapped 1 lap down. You would keep that track position if the cautions came out at this moment.
That you would. You would gain a ton, and they'd all have to take the wave around. And the big thing for there is then you'd have the advantage on tires even. So that would give you a little bit more maneuverability. So this is not the worst call from this grouping here. Now, if they do actually have to end up hitting pit row, which we imagine won't be very, very soon since everybody else has had to do it, and they're now going on about 69 to 70 laps on their tanks of fuel here. So should be soon for pit stops for them. But if they do have to hit pit road, they're losing so much time to the drivers on fresh tires. Right now, Jamie Horn, that first group, the leader of the first group that pitted, 30:57 last time by. Adam Thompson out here, 31:48. So you're looking at about almost a second every lap they stay out extra is what they're going to be losing to this pack. And it looks like this time will be the time to pit.
Entering pit road, hoping not to run each other over, and it looks like it will be a clean stop, all trying to lock up with their brakes to make sure they don't get caught speeding. But as all the drivers pass on by, they're going to be unlapping themselves. Now you enter pit road, 4 tires and fuel is expected because you need that rubber for yourself. But this will become the new pack that leads the charge of Jamie Horn, Hunter Simpson, Jonathan Jennings, Shane Parrish, and as well, going to be the 43 of Eric Anderson. That's going to be the first pack. Second pack, a little bit over a second and a half difference between current 9th and 10th place runners. It's being led by Justin McMahon with Christopher Simon, also Mike Leftwich and Stephen Bonomo. Then there's the third group that's being led by Daniel Wilkerson, who is about 8, almost 9 seconds back from Horn and all the other drivers. It is a huge gap the third group is dealing with, and it's highly unfortunate with how far they are.
No, it definitely is highly unfortunate. And, you know, it's crazy to think because we had the whole grouping really all stacked up on top of each other. Everybody was ready to go, you know. Then 10 laps later, and really everything broke loose and everybody lost a bunch of time to each other. And now we're spaced out in little packs throughout the field, and that's going to be tough to gain back the time for these drivers.
Certainly is going to be tough, but this is the run. It's the chase down. Who can catch up to the top 4, or excuse me, top 5 currently? It's going to be a fun chase to watch and cover, but for us, we will step aside for one of our final commercial breaks of the night. When we come back, will there be another caution, or will it be down to our final 5 or more? Cannot wait to call it as you are watching the Doghouse Cup Series Atlanta 300 League Fundraising Night. We'll be back right after this as we go side by side. wide behind her pit.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. Look at it, that's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes. Oh, no, the car gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trying to drive it down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top 2 bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Doghouse Cup Series as you're watching the Atlanta 300 League Fundraiser Night. As currently leading the charge, they once were on the outside lane, but after pit stops, they've been all alone, picking up lap down vehicles. Jamie Horn, Hunter Simpson, Jonathan Jennings, Shane Parrish, and Eric Anderson have just been in complete control after pitting 20 laps ago. They picked up some friends, that being Twisted Axle drivers of Adam Gardner, as well as going to be Nicholas Atwood. They're at the tail end. Curious on how they may try to influence this front group, but as this run has progressed on, the front pack has pulled away from the second, being led by Justin McMahon, and also the third group that we watched a lot during our commercial break. They were having their own mix-up, but they've been also losing time to our leaders, and it's looking like it might come down to just 3 drivers. That's our top 3: Jamie Horn, Hunter Simpson, Jonathan Jennings. And when will we see moves potentially for the lead? Will be on the last lap? Will be with 2 laps to go? Because if we stay green, it's just these 5 drivers that are racing for a win. As if you're just joining us, welcome to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me up in the booth is Zach Hall, as well as Robert Moyer Jr. running productions in the background. Zach, it's been more of a pace lapse, just everyone in a train in a line. This has been it. I really, it's just a waiting game at this point for the next, I would say, 18, 17 minutes if we stay green.
That it is for sure. This is, nobody right up here is going to make any drastic moves just due to the fact of the gaps they have. There's no real reason for them to make anything happen now. If you're Shane Parrish or Eric Anderson here on the tail end of Jamie Horn, Hunter Simpson, and Jonathan Jennings, you got to be a little bit formulating here. They're starting to get a few lap cars here involved, of course, like we talked about with Adam Gardner and Nicholas Atwood. The question is, what are they going to do? Same with Stutzman here, who's 1 lap down. All 3 of them, if they can place themselves ahead of the leaders, it's a big gain, and especially for Gardner, in my opinion, because if he's 2 laps down and we get a caution, most likely he's not going to get those laps back, because I don't expect many to be, pitting, which we could for the use of tires, but some may elect to stay out, so to say, to keep the track position, and then that would keep you from getting the waiver out for Adam Gardner. So that would be a tough position to be in. If I'm Adam Gardner, I'm trying to get out here, lead this pack, and make sure if the caution does come out, at least I'm 1 lap down, because then if you get another, at least would be in position for the lucky dog with another caution. So you're Stutzman, if you're Atwood, you're also probably thinking the same thing. Hey, go get my lap back the old-fashioned way. If we get a caution, I'll be in the right position. So these lap cars, I think more than anything, could start to mix it up more than even Shane Parrish and Eric Anderson, who are on the tail end of this top 3 group here, because, you know, really they have a lot more to gain by going up there. And as you can see, this pack back here, they're all trying to gain time up to that second group and try to get a bigger grouping going and maybe find some speed up to that front group.
I've been keeping my eye out on the speeds, on the lap times that are in place by all 3-4 different groups that we have out there on track. This is our third group we have on screen, the super long train. They have been the fastest group on track by just 1/10 over our lead pack, which you look at the numbers, that's not enough time. They need to be going 2/10 faster than our leaders, and with closing up to a slower group, this is going to jostle them up. This is going to hurt maybe for the next 3-4 laps as everyone tries to get into the right positions and who needs to be the right lead driver, who's going to be the right push driver to maximize your speed. And with being side by side, that's going to kill your momentum as well. The big thing that's helping this second pack now that has grown by over 8 drivers is that the front pack does have the lap cars that are being side by side, that are kind of hurting that lead pack, but not enough really to have that major factor of closing in this group even more, as that last lap they lost even more time to our lead group.
Yeah, the times are not looking great on the side of that case there, Sam, for sure. I mean, our leader, Jamie Horn, running a 30.3 to this next group's running 30.7s, 31 flats. So they're losing upwards to a half a second to 7/10 a lap to this front group. And now being side by side like this, when you get these next gen cars side by side, the side draft is so powerful between them that you just slow everybody down that little much. They're going to really have to hope that those lap cars get more involved, and it's kind of starting to happen a little bit of this group ahead, that everybody's getting a little bit more antsy up there and starting to push in. So we could start to see the lap times drop a good bit, but right here, definitely starting to see some fall off.
30 laps to go here tonight at Atlanta for the Atlanta 300 League fundraising night. You got a mixture of drivers that you're going to be seeing running on Thursdays starting next week for the brand new season. The 2024 season 2 starts at Indianapolis for the league, and your favorites to watch out for: Jonathan Jennings, if he runs the whole season, looking to grab another championship to add to his giant case. He has some multiple championships and wins, the most winningest driver in this series, and of all of Doghouse, Jennings is hoping for another one. Also, other drivers to watch out for: Kevin Thompson, last season's champion, and almost all of Twisted Axle. They're going to be a group to watch out for. Michael Hayes, also our leader right now, Jamie Horn, he could be a major factor to watch out for, but that's once the season starts and once points start counting. Tonight was just all about fun and seeing who could be a threat to watch out for, and currently it's just our top 5, but I know we kind of are crossing our fingers hoping maybe there'll be a wreck, maybe we'll bring everyone back together, maybe this group will find a way to be fast and in line with one another, but it just looks like they're struggling to stay in line and utilize their speed. But it's so hard to make that kind of hope when you know this league is so clean. This league of Doghouse was known for having so many clean races, minimizing cautions at most tracks that they go to. And Zach, I mean, we know in the back of our mind, this race has a very high percentage chance of staying green.
It definitely does. It's on the higher side of things. But I will say, you know, the farther we get, the more people are going to start to shove a little bit more. And, you know, I think also with there nothing being on the line here tonight, it just being, you know, kind of a preseason race, so to say, I don't think anybody's going to be too, you know, not willing to make some contact there. As I just say that, they start to make the contact there. That was between Michael Hayes and Jonathan Smith there. And, you know, it's going to be one thing interesting for sure. This is going to be quite the dash to the end. And if they do keep it green all the way, I'll be very impressed, because at some point I think push is going to come to show.
Yeah, I mean, this second group, they're racing for a top 10 finish here, and currently it's going to be leading the group is the 60 machine of Mike Leftwich, excuse me, the 60 machine on the inside. But I think a lot of drivers recognized, okay, we need a new lead driver. We're losing time each and every lap. And now taking the front point and trying to charge forward, it's Adam Thompson with Trevor McLaughlin, as well as going to be seeing some help with some other drivers joining along. And this is the group that waited to pit the latest. If we're gonna see a group run down our leaders, it could be this pairing of 4 because they have the fresher tires. They've got themselves out almost a 9-lap advantage on tires. And it's going to be the charge from Adam Thompson. Does he have enough speed to run down 6 seconds under 20, 5 laps to go?
It's going to be a tough task for sure. And right now, just looking at lap times, I don't know if he's going to have the help, so to say. I mean, that time by, they were actually quicker than our leaders, but it was only hundredths of a second. That's not going to get it done. They're going to need tenths at a time. Taking little chunks out of it is not going to be the key to this. Right now, it just seems like the field starting to get a little more singled out right here. This could equate to them making a little bit more lap time. And, oh, you see there, left switch up into the wall. He's got McMahon underneath him who's going to pull the side draft, and that right there is just going to slow them down just that little bit more. But now McMahon got to drop in line. Everybody lined up. We'll see if they can make something happen. And even up front, there's been a 4-car breakaway. It looks like the lap cars have kind of pulled Eric Anderson off that front group, and that has caused a little bit of a shakeup of things.
It's got to be frustrating for Anderson, who kind of saw this coming. I mean, the lap cars were just trying to slow down this pack to enable the second group to catch up, and ultimately it backfired. It hurt the one of the drivers that was inside our top 5 running for a chance, and oh, a little bit of contact. Anderson, Atwood, still side drafting, even if it's a lone driver, and this side drafting is only hurting these 2 drivers to push them back to that second pack instead of getting in line and trying to stay ahead. And if we're going to see a wreck, you know, I thought it was going to be in that second group. It might be from these 2 just door banging one another.
And look how much time they lost. I mean, Stutzman was right there with them. He's caught back up to that group. Now Anderson does the smart thing there because it didn't look like Atwood was going to back out of that situation. Anderson backs out of it. Now they're going to line back up and see if they can get the 3 cars lined up to draft up ahead. But again, Atwood jumps out to the outside of Gardner. And again, that's just not going to make lap time, in my opinion. So that's just going to really cause these 3 to continue to dwindle farther and farther back from that front group. This is really ruining Eric Anderson's chances. Yeah,
Eric Anderson's going to be in a problem very quickly of being caught by that second pack. The second pack is trying to close in the group. Now, it's 2 tenths that last go around, which is exactly what they need to be hitting. They need to actually be hitting 3 tenths faster than our lead pack if they want to catch up with about 4 to 3 laps to go and have a chance to maybe make a move, maybe reset if you make a mistake. But at this current moment, it is still Jamie Horn, Hunter Simpson, Jonathan Jennings, and Shane Parrish going to be your lead group, having help from the lap down car of Stutzman, again, a driver who's got fresher tires than everyone in this pack that the 22 is with. Only problem, he's the first car 1 lap down. So he's going to stay in the back, help this group out, and bank on a caution flag coming out, get the lucky dog spot, and maybe get back into the mix for a chance for a better finish. But at this moment, Zach, each lap that ticks away, the more and more you got to think for this front group. I don't know if they're going to make any big moves. They might just finish in line with one another.
They very well might. And, you know, at some point I do expect, you know, Simpson and Jennings to make a move on Horn. I think they're kind of right now sitting in the bushes just waiting for their opportunity. And really they can wait all the way up till the last lap, in my opinion. You know, that's really when they can do this. And because if they go a little bit early here, if they get to the lead, that kind of puts them in the position where then Parrish and Stutzman can help out Horn. So right now, in my opinion, you can put yourself a better chance right now running second and third than running first and second. So I'm not surprised to see Simpson and Jennings waiting here. That's just showing great patience from them too.
And that second large pack is now turned into, now it's turned into technically our third group, but it's now been split in 2 as Leftwich, Simpson, Millette, and others got a little bit too antsy with side drafting, and they have broken and lost tension to the drivers that were on fresh rubber, as Trevor McLaughlin, he has now carried this group, you could say, with Adam Thompson and pushing one another to be less than 6 seconds, almost down to 5.5 seconds back from our leaders. and they've started to hit the numbers that they needed to hit. The only problem, they're about 4 laps behind when they needed to be this fast.
Exactly right. Yeah, they're making the time up. It's gonna run out of time, in my opinion. I don't think they'll be able to get there in the time they need to be able to especially battle, but we'll just have to see if they can. I mean, they'll start to get a little bit of draft off that second group here quickly. That will lower the lap times a little bit more. So if they take some big chunks out of them, they could possibly have an opportunity, but it's going to be very much an uphill battle from here because we're nearing 13 laps to go.
There's a positive and a negative with catching up to those drivers, though, because they have to pass that group of 3, and 3 drivers can be strong enough to slow this group down for maybe 2 or 3 laps that are so crucial at this point of the race that you cannot afford to be wasting 2 to 3 laps into this late into a run to run down this front pack. It's gonna be very close. They're gonna get some help for a few laps, but they're also gonna get hurt for a few laps. It's gonna equal out as this run progresses on. Each lap continues to be clocked down. 12 laps to go here tonight.
And like you said, Sam, yeah, it's kind of a dual-edged sword. You know, you're going to start to get that good draft off the guys ahead, but then once you go to make that pass, the side draft will start to pull you back. So it's going to be tough. If they do catch them, they have to use the run very efficiently. You cannot get held up enough, and because if they do, it's really going to be completely chalked for their chances of getting up there to this front group. As we ride on board with Shane Parrish, though, this 4th place man, he's going to have a lot of decisions to be made because when Simpson and Jennings make their move, he's going to have to quickly close that gap to get the horn, or he can go with them. That's going to be his decision making here. And we'll get to see exactly how it all shakes out as they're going to be coming this time by here to 10 to go.
And a reminder to the audience, and maybe the drivers might have forgotten, but you cannot pass under the red line. You have to stay to the right of that red line that you see on screen as your limit order. You have to be making a pass if you're going to make one to the right side. So for our leaders, they're most likely going to be hugging that red line. They're not going to want anyone having a chance to go the shorter distance around this track to make a pass. So if you're going to make a move, gotta figure out how to get a run off the exit of this corner and just blitz your way forward, or you make a pass off the exit of turn 2 and try to set it up into turn 3 and maybe push the driver a little bit too far. Small little movements that everyone is going to be trying to work on as the run progresses forward. Less than 10 laps to go here tonight, and it's still Horn, it's still Simpson, Jennings, Parrish, your top 4, as Adam Thompson and that other pack has already been able to make the pass and get by Anderson. It is go time for that second group. They are 4 seconds back, Zach, and the last lap, sadly, they actually ran almost equal, if not slower than our leaders.
That they did. That was tough, but I think this time around we'll see, about 2/10 quicker, but that's not going to get it done. They're 4.4 seconds back here. They're going to need a good handful of tenths if they want to really have any shot at this, because you really don't start to get that draft till about 2.5 to 2 seconds back from that front group. So they're well outside that, and I don't think they're going to have the time to get up there, as right there crossing the line, it's going to be 7 laps to go.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Adam Thompson, you've got to be trying to negotiate for Shane Parrish to get aggressive. Tell the 66, the 22, start side drafting, start making some moves that can, slow down that group any way possible. At this current moment, there's just no sign of movement. I mean, if you're those drivers of the 66 to the 22, your best bet is to just stay in line, stay patient, and you're gonna get the best finish you can.
That's no doubt. I think that's gonna be really what comes down to here. So we'll see when the move is made from this group, but they're going to wait till the very last moment. They don't want to slow each other down at all. And you can see Simpson's already taking a few looks left, right, trying to make Horn think which way he'll go, because, if you're Horn, you're going to have to throw a big block. I just think you're not going to be able to cover off the whole track. So that's going to be the issue that he comes through with. But at the same time, he can try to do his best to defend.
I think also for Hunter Simpson, I mean, he's one of those drivers that's been right on the back bumper of Horn, really giving all of the energy to keep this group ahead of that second pack as well as they can. And that little bit of wiggle is trying to get some air on the grill, try to help cool off the temps just slightly with each lap that ticks away. 5, going to be 4 laps to go as they cross the line now. And all the drivers up front know if this race stays green, a top 5 is solidified. But for everyone else, they need a caution. They need it badly. We've seen a couple of drivers that have looked out of control throughout the night. Would they be willing to risk to throw away their car to give the rest of the field a chance? Or do we stay in line like we've been for practically the last 60, 70 laps?
It's going to be the big question for sure, Sam. You know, if a wreck happens, it's either going to happen for the battle for the lead or farther back in that group, because they're going to be just pushing for everything, because right now they're 4.2 seconds back, 3 laps to go. They're not going to catch up. They need a yellow flag to have a chance. And look at Jennings starting to back up, build a little bit of a gap. He could be looking to build the momentum for a huge run to push that 5.
And will we see also the help from Shane Parrish? Parrish has been also kind of lingering back, and they've all been trying to give each other plenty of space to then rocket their way forward and utilize the momentum. But again, do you make the pass with 2 to go or on the last lap? Of course, you like to make the pass on the last lap, because that's when the race becomes official. A caution won't end it. But here we go, Zach. We are coming down to the end of this race. It's go time for our top 5 in the lap machine, and see what Stunsman's going to do for this front group.
We'll get to see here very quickly what the movement is as they exit off of 4, Sam. Here they're going to look up to the flag stand.
This is it. They kept it clean and green. We got to see a green flag pit stop, and now it's time for the big move up front. It's your white, freaky fast white flag, as here we go, Zach. This is it, off of 2.
And look at the big move there, Arden the chop down, and look, they're going to possibly wreck here. That was a big block from Horn. Simpson looked to make the move, but I don't know if he's going to have the time now as they go to 3 and 4.
Jamie Horn came up second, and he's going to get bumped and moved in up high. Does another block, gets bumped, wrecked his horn. He's not going to win it. It's going to be side by side across the line, and it's Hunter Simpson by a nose. 1/100th of a second goes to the 5 machine.
Oh, man, that was so close. Even Parrish got a good shot at that there coming to the end with the contact between, the grouping. It was first the 5 who moved the 98 up the racetrack, then the 91 kind of finished the deal. So right there, I mean, everybody going for it. I mean, you can't really blame anybody there for not backing out. That was coming to the end.
There's the bump, the second block, the second tap, just shipping Horn to the outside. And it came down to a 3 wide across the line moment, but it was by 1/100th of a second going to Hunter Simpson in the 5 machine. And it was this aggressive bump, no give, all push, that just sent the 98 around, who never had a chance. But it was this close, Zach. They knew it was going to be the teammates. They dominated this race, were in complete control, and the move was just wreck your competition and duel it between yourself, as Parrish was too far back, and it was down to a bumper to take the win.
Wow, what a finish there. And yeah, definitely luckily nothing really on the line here tonight, other than just a race win and just for a fun race. Because if that would have been for points, there definitely would have been, I think, some definite upset drivers, just how it played out. I mean, at the same time, you really can't blame too much for them. You're throwing blocks, you're doing everything to hold off the lead. A bump kind of leads to the loss of control, and then the 91 of Jennings, he's seeing his race possible win go away with the 98 sliding up the track, so they make contact, and then from there, Horn is just headfirst into the wall.
Hey, I mean, we saw kind of a similar thing of, you sometimes got to move your competition out of the way. Real life NASCAR did it. Might as well try it in the sim world, and it works out for Hunter Simpson in the 5 machine. Well, we are going to step away for a quick moment. When we come back, we're going to talk to the 5 machine of Hunter Simpson, Jonathan Jennings, and Shane Parrish, get their thoughts on tonight's race. What a wild one at the end. And luckily it was the 5 who got it into victory lane. We'll be back with the post-race show right after this. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. What a race you got to see for the Atlanta 300 League Fundraiser night. It took us quite a while to finally get to the action at the very end. And it came down to a bump and run, helped out by the teammates to get Jamie Horn out of the way for a side-by-side finish between Hunter Simpson and Jonathan Jennings. We're going to be bringing in the driver that got into victory lane here tonight, Hunter Simpson in the 5 machine. Hunter, I got a question for you. Congratulations on the win. Is Austin Dillon your favorite driver? Because that was a massive bump and run there at the end.
No, I don't agree with what Austin Dillon did at all, actually. I was following behind Jamie in 3 and 4, and I was trying to get to the bottom, and I locked up the brakes, and it was too late. I wasn't even trying to worry about the win there. I was just trying to stay off of him because that's my teammate, and I don't want to do him like that, and I apologize for hitting him, but I locked up the brakes. It wouldn't slow down in time.
Always a tough break when that happens, Hunter, but congrats on the win. It was quite the race to the finish line there with your other teammate, Jonathan Jennings there, and baiting and banging there to get across the line, and it was super, super close action. But how's it feel just to start off, this race, no points awarded, nothing like that, but how's it feel to kind of start off, before the season with a win in your back pocket here just to kind of get some momentum rolling?
Well, I think it's good for the league for everybody to show up and really help out with the fundraiser. So I'm happy for that. I mean, it's good to win, but I feel really bad about getting into Jamie accidentally. We're all racing for the win, but I never wanted it like that. After that, I was just content with staying behind him, and it just went all to crap. But I mean, it was exciting to dominate as a team like that. We had the top 3 most of the race, in my opinion, and it was fun. I apologize to him for tapping him because I definitely don't want it that way.
Oh, you maybe didn't want it that way, but it made it fun for us up in the booth because you guys were dominating it so much. It was hard at times for us to stay focused because you guys felt like you were up front all race long, and it felt like it was just bound to be a 1-2-3 finish for the 3 of you guys. How was it though on your end trying to stay focused when you have been just pacing around this track in line for so many laps, knowing that it's just a countdown until you cross that line?
Well, in the past, I think we had a season opener here last season where I had the lead for the last like 18 or so laps. So, and then I got passed on the last lap. So I knew I didn't want to be in the lead. So I wanted to be at least second or third to be there in position. But I was really hoping for a 1-2-3 because we've all worked hard, and especially Jamie. He's a new member of the team, and he's been really, really good for us so far. So I'm really excited to see what he can do, and obviously the rest of the team. Kevin, John. I'm hoping to run when I can. I feel really strong as a team, and I think we got some new members coming on as well. But I just had to stay focused and just not get too impatient. But just once again, I just feel really bad for Jamie. He led a lot. So did John. But if I have to, I'll donate that flag to him. That's his flag in my eyes.
I mean, it was a great finish at the end, Hunter. We enjoyed it again up in the booth. I'm sure the audience did as well. Congratulations on this win. And if there are any other shout outs, the floor is now yours.
I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, all the admins for everything they do for the league, especially Daniel, setting all this up. I appreciate all the drivers coming out tonight and helping out the league. We might have to look into doing some other stuff in the future for, raising funds for the league. Thank you guys for the broadcast. All my teammates, all the league sponsors, Shoney's, Rogue Energy, SSR Design, Snap Daddy Racing. I have to thank everybody. It was a fun race, and we'll hope to be back.
Well, congratulations again, Hunter, on this win. And we cannot wait to see you back out on track when we're able to see you. Congratulations on this one. Enjoy it. And again, can't wait to see you back on track again.
Thank you.
As we move from victory lane, we go down to second place. The driver that accidentally finished off his teammate with another bump. It's going to be Jonathan Jennings getting second place. Jonathan, you found yourself up front. with your team dominating for most of this race from the start to the very end. How are you feeling after finishing those 195 laps?
Mm, bittersweet. Came a few feet short of a checker flag, so kind of sucks. But it was a good clean race. That was uh, great to be a part of.
Definitely a dominant performance from y'all's team. Like Hunter was saying, Jamie just joined the team there with you guys and got him in the mix with y'all. I mean, how does it feel when you're that third place driver in the team, like coming down to the end there? We know all three of you want to win it, but what was going through your mind when the white flag come out?
Well, Hunter was trying to make a deal with me, but I told him I wouldn't. I wasn't going to do it. I told him I wanted the flag, so. But I also told him I showed him some things throughout the seasons we ran, how to pass at these things, but he did not use it like I showed him.
Yeah, it certainly did not go, it seemed like, as planned. But Jonathan, I know last season you weren't able to run the full season for yourself. Is the plan to run a full season going into this 2024 season 2?
That's always the plan, but I got quite a few kids, so kind of up in the air every season.
Well,
I really don't know.
we hope to be able to see you all season long. We know that you're going to be the major favorite to always watch out for. But Jonathan, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
You guys for the broadcast, Daniel for putting us on. It was really fun, and Hunter and Jamie for the great race there. Unfortunate what happened to Jamie, and all the series sponsors, Shoney's, Nap Daddy, Designs, and whoever else. I haven't caught up on it for this season, but for all the sponsors, thank them.
Well, Jonathan, I cannot believe how dominant the team was here tonight. It was a pleasure to call. Enjoy the 1-2 finish, and good luck whenever the season starts next week.
All right, man. Thank you.
That will be your second place finisher in the 91 machine. We now go to third place finisher. We're going to be Shane Parrish in the 66. Got to see this beast mode machine have his moments. Almost a chance to steal it there late. Shane, it's Zach and Sam up in the booth. How are you feeling after coming away third after all that chaos coming off of turn 4?
Man, I'm feeling pretty good. My first really official broadcast race, just joined the league. So felt really good. Felt bad back there for Jamie. I know he tried to go up and defend. Looked like he got a little loose and got bumped. So sorry, Jamie. I hate to see how you had a lot of laps tonight. But 66 car is doing really good. The beast mode came out tonight. We were strong all night long, smooth. And I was kind of hoping first and second might get into it a little bit and give me a shot, but just didn't happen.
Came up close, Shane. Well, congrats on a great finish there and got very, very close with all that chaos, like Sam was saying. I mean, take us through that. What's your mindset going into that last lap? Because, you got 3 teammates ahead of you. You're kind of the lone man out there. What was really your game plan?
Well, my game plan is I was testing it out from about lap 10 on. I was kind of just testing and figuring out how to get my car to get to go the fastest through 3 so I could gain. I was just going to try to get to the outside of Jennings there and try to just side draft him and try to steal a third away. That would have been the best. I was going to do it out of 2 when everybody started getting crazy and it checked up. I'm glad I didn't because I would have been right in the wreck with the rest of them. But that was my game plan, was just to try to side draft him and try to get third. Probably wouldn't have had enough steam to be able to do so unless the 22 followed me. I might have got lucky. But, it ended the way it did. I was glad to get a podium finish. Hello?
Oh, I believe Sam might be a little bit muted. I don't know if we got him there still.
We do. I like always, I sneeze, I hit the mute button, I forget to unmute myself. As I was talking to myself, the question was, I know we've got the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. This is one of our few times getting to see you on our stream. What series are you planning on running, and what's your confidence level running here in the Doghouse Cup Series or an Xfinity Series?
Well, I'll be running the Cup Series. That's pretty much what I run. run different setups each week, just depending on which one feels right for me and if I can make a few adjustments. I really don't know yet. There's a lot of strong drivers here that I have seen. I won my inaugural race when I came out. We were all on a fixed setup and I won that one. But there's some strong guys. I really don't know. I haven't had a chance to match up the field yet. I'm hoping to have some good top 5 finishes and have a chance to be a podium for the championship at the end of the year. But a lot of good guys out there, and luck's got to come my way.
We cannot wait to see how you're going to perform out there, Shane, when the season starts next week. But before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Oh, want to thank you guys. I've watched some of the older broadcasts of some of them, and can't wait to see yours tonight. It's going to be great to get out there and see that. I'm sure you guys do a great job. I'll commend you anyway. I want to thank my teammates. We all working together there. That was great. Want to thank Beast Mode for letting me join and bringing me over. It's been great. And just want to thank Daniel for the league. Really like the league so far. It's been great. A lot of great drivers out there. So thanks to all you drivers. And sorry again, Jamie Horn, that you got wrecked out there, man. That sucks. All them laps you led. No, that's got to sting a little bit. But next time, hopefully we'll be battling for a win.
We cannot wait to see those battles erupt. Shane, congratulations on a 3rd place finish. Enjoy this one and good luck once the season starts.
Yep. Thank you, guys. You all have a great weekend and be safe.
You too. As we move along from our interviews, we get prepared to take a look at our unofficial results here tonight. 23 drivers took a chance to run here at Atlanta for 195 laps. And it was the 2 drivers that started off those first handful of laps being the dominators. Hunter Simpson, Jonathan Jennings will be your front 2 after both moving their teammate out of the way and both getting their own shot on the 98. Shane Parrish will take away 3rd with Adam Thompson able to cruise his way up to 4th with all the shenanigans that happened on that last lap, as well as getting to see Stephen Hayes. Steve Manomo, Jamie Horn falls all the way down to 7th position. 8th is Justin McMahon, Trevor McLaughlin at 9th, and 10th we find that of Eric Anderson, who sadly I feel like Anderson could have been a factor there late, Zach, but with the way that some of the lap cars were racing was not the case.
Unfortunate for Anderson for sure, but as you look through the rest of the board, I think we got to give a big shout out to William Gentry and Andy Cork. Those 2 definitely mixed things up tonight, and we're always making the bottom lane somewhat work. Unfortunately, they got caught up in incidences there that put them a lap down, or just some black flags from a few other guys, coming to pit road by speeding. So it's easy to make those mistakes here at Atlanta, but it's good to get those mistakes out of the way before the real season kicks off next week.
Next week, don't want to miss it at all. Indianapolis will be the season starter, and we've seen a little bit of a preview of what Indianapolis can bring with the WSSR Cup Series. When they went there, the only difference, the league will now move from tonight being a fix to the official season open setups. I think that's going to be the fun aspect, Zach, of which driving styles are drivers looking for heading to Indianapolis.
No doubt, Sam. That is going to change things up a ton. I mean, myself personally, just ran a fixed setup race there, and that setup was a little bit unruly. It was very hard to drive. These guys are going to be able to test and tune these things, get them dialed in, and you can go so many different ways with building a setup at Indy. Do you want to put the car with as much downforce on it as possible to make it through the corners fast? Or do you want to really trim that car out, make sure it's really fast down the straightaways just because of how long that 2.5 mile oval is? So it's going to be not only a great season opener, but also a place that everybody wants to win. It's even though it's a sim, you still treat Indy as hollow ground. So it's going to be quite the season opener, and I can't wait to see who really nails that setup there, because again, such a unique track, especially for stock cars. It's going to be very, very important about nailing the setup.
It certainly will be. And I know for us of the booth, we're excited. We get finally go into a little bit of a break heading into this weekend, just finishing our first full week back. 4 races throughout the week, Monday through Thursday night. We're giving you racing coverage. And if you want to see some of that great coverage, remember to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification button to be notified when we are live on Monday night with ISRC Truck Series, Tuesday night with the Challenger Cup Series, or Wednesday night with the WSSR Cup Series, or you already know, Thursdays. Brand new season starts next week. All 4 days will be raced. You don't want to miss any of that amazing action. We cannot wait for it. But for tonight, thank you for joining with us. I know it was a kind of a long one at moments, waited for the drama at the end, and it certainly gave us a spectacular moment of the teammates taking each other out for a finish that Hunter Simpson will cherish, but also will haunt him with taking the win by 1/100th of a second over his teammate of Jonathan Jennings. But for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you so much for joining with us on your Thursday night. Can't wait for next week. It is a start of a brand new season as we start the 2024 Season 2 at Indianapolis. If you can't wait until then, don't worry. We've got 3 other races before then. Wednesday, Tuesday, but the next one in line, it's going to be Monday night. ISRC Truck Series racing action at Iowa. Don't want to miss it. It's going to be our next Freaky Fast broadcast.